What's gonna happen? So right here, me and my good friend Chad are putting new leads on the ends of the coil packs instead of having to buy brand new coil packs. Chad's exposing the wire here on the coil pack ends. Then he's putting the lead end on the copper that's exposed, crimping that down with a special tool, making sure that the seal, that yellow piece, and the copper are tightly against the lead. Now that we have complete leads on the 3 connectors that were damaged, now we can put those brand new leads into brand new OEM connectors. We had a good coil pack so we could easily match up which leads go in which slots. Yellow on 1, black on 2, and red on 3. And boom, just like that, we saved the coil packs when coil packs from OEM Aprilia would have cost me $80, and we only had to spend $20 for all 3 coil packs that were damaged.
Nice. Cool.
Thank you, Chad. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're back on the Aprilia. As you guys know from the beginning of the series, this bike was completely destroyed, rolled over, and water in the engine. When the bike flipped over, it ripped a lot of the harness out and destroyed a ton of the connectors. One of the main parts of the harness that was destroyed was the coil packs, but me and Chad fixed them. So now let's grab these spark plugs, throw them in the bike. Brand new Aprilia OEM spark plugs for the RSV4. And we got 4 of these bad boys because we're already in here, might as well replace them all. And this is what the previous ones look like. They might be still usable, but pretty crusty and black. We can finally put them in and then place those brand new coil packs that we just fixed with Chad back in the engine. Later and change of plans. We're not going to torque those spark plugs down just yet. We have a cylinder leakage test kit that I'm going to try out on the cylinders and see if there's any leakage. Gonna put some air in the compressor and then open up the leakage test kit. not gonna take the spark plugs out of this side because this side had no water in the engine. Quickly remove these real quick. Here's one. Number two, brand new spark plug. Gonna pull it out for the leak test. So now I'll need an attachment to fit the exact spark plug threads. So this one looks about the same. Perfect. Let's put it in. Now we connect this attachment to the end of this hose that goes directly to the leak tester. So here are the gauges. This is the end that I'm gonna spin down into the spark plug hole. There she goes, she's spinning. All right, she's in there. Now, let's connect it. We have the hose going into spark plug number 1 hole right here. We have no pressure in the cylinder just yet because if the valves are open, it's gonna leak anyway. So I left the stator cover off so I could turn the crank to make sure those valves are closed. Nice. So let's start real quick by adding pressure into the cylinder. So I've got 40 PSI going into this cylinder right now. You can actually hear the air coming out of the exhaust because the exhaust valve is open. So let's turn that crank. So I'm gonna put pressure into the cylinder, just some pressure, and then I'm gonna turn the crankshaft until that pressure starts to rise. Holy smokes. All right, it's been a few minutes now and I cannot figure out top dead center on this cylinder right here. Everything is just leaking regardless of where I put the crankshaft. I barely get to 10 PSI on this cylinder right here. I don't know if it's leaking out of here. Let's try one of the good sides over here and see if I end up messing up something on that side. I got the pressure on this cylinder right here. We're at 45 or 44 on the pressure from the tank, and in the cylinder is about 39.5. I can now release this, go back down to 0. Here's the gauge reading right here on the actual cylinder test kit. I went to 50, not 75, but so we have roughly 5% leakage in that cylinder. I'm not sure if that's too much or if that's too little, but let's check the rest of the cylinders. These are my numbers. 50 PSI on cylinder 1 was literally 0. 2 at 75 PSI was 27. Number 3 right here was the best one at 45 PSI. It was at 40. And number 4, 50 PSI, it was at 20, which is this one right here. Those numbers are really irregular and terrible, but when I was doing this, I could hear a lot of air coming out of this crankcase area right here. It could be that the air is escaping past the piston and coming down into the bottom end of the engine. We're gonna put the spark plugs back in place along with the new coil packs and start assembling the top end. The back left corner is cylinder 1. Right here it says removing the rear spark plugs on cylinder 1. The pictures show it's in that corner right next to the subframe. So cylinder 1 is there, and then cylinder 3 is next to it on the rear, which means cylinders 2 and 4 are in the front. And these are easy enough because the coil connector is really short for cylinder 2, which has to be the closest side. Cylinder 4 has a much longer harness which means this has to be cylinder 4 because the connector has much more harness length. So I'm going to connect these hoses real quick, even though there's no coolant in the system. Connect these spark plugs back in place and any other plugs that run underneath the airbox, and then try and fit the airbox on top. What an absolute tornado ride. This is insane. So first of all, the airbox needed to come off the throttle bodies to slip the throttle bodies on, but there is absolutely no room underneath the throttle bodies to put these clamps on, and you can't slide these throttle bodies on with the clamps on. The clamps go on that bottom ring on all 4 of these throttle bodies, but I have no idea how I'm supposed to put those on. And these throttle bodies slip in almost together. You can't really put in one side at a time. They slip on at the same time because the tolerances between the two are so tight. No idea where any of this harness goes, and I am missing a few connectors. So these throttle bodies are gonna end up needing to come back out again because I am missing a connector on the throttle body module on the ends right here. And on the back side of these throttle bodies right here, I am missing a connector. And I'm just noticing this now. When I was turning these throttle bodies, this one was only opening to here because I don't have the wires routed correctly down there. It's hitting the actual harness. This side, really nice though. This is just a huge learning curve for me because it came here all torn apart. So I guess this is a good time to open that box right there because this is gonna help me with my wiring issue. Here's a bunch of leads that were randomly broken on the harness. No idea what connector goes here, but check this out. On the used harness, which is actually a 2021 RSV4 factory, check this out. Right here, this connector has the same color wires. So I'm actually just gonna chop this harness right here, and I'm gonna splice it in on the original harness because these leads are pretty destroyed anyway. Man, there is a lot of different connectors down there. If one of you guys can figure out how these clamps go on the bottom of the throttle bodies, there's absolutely no room to access these clamps, and they go all the way down there on the bottom ring just for extra safety because, I mean, these ain't going nowhere. Got the coil packs plugged in as well as the injectors that go directly to the throttle bodies on each side. We've got connectors for the outside tubes. I have no idea what these do, but we have them both connected. The harness that goes underneath the throttle bodies is connected to this side, and the harness on this side is connected. Now it's time for the airbox, as this piece sits on the back side of the airbox, and all these connectors on here are for the top injectors, and this coil connects to this coil pack, which routes on the top of the airbox. Man, there are so many connections on this thing. It's absolutely bonkers, but let's get that airbox on the bike. All right, guys, we're making great progress on the airbox. So far, all the important stuff is connected. There's still a bunch of random stuff in the rear that I have no idea goes to what. I think this is the gas line, and I believe the gas tank connector is right here, but still, I am not sure. Here's the ECU harness. This goes up right here, and the new airbox had the clip, and this one broke, so this is perfect. I can just unclip this, clip the harness right into this slot where it goes. Nice, it's in place now, right with the other ECU connector, and I have no idea what this is. But now let me grab the ECU. Let's plug this bad boy in. Before we plug this in, I don't know if you guys saw that on the time lapse. I just swapped these coils from left to right because the coils actually sit on the airbox. There's a long coil and then there's a short coil, and the shorter coil has to be closer to the edge of this airbox so it actually reaches both connectors. And I forgot, this ECU connector is broken. The 2021 RSV4 factory harness actually uses different ECU connectors. I assume that's with the electronic suspension and the other things it has, but we're gonna try to fix that other ECU connector. It's just the locking mechanism which has broken. This white piece slides in the side here, and then there's supposed to be another gray tab that connects to the outside of this connector that's broken. You can't mess these up. One goes on one side, one goes on the other. Bang! Man, that is a tight connection. Holy smokes. Maybe I should take this out just for now so I can actually connect to the two. One connected and two connected. Boom. And we can plop it down in place just for now, even though I know I'm gonna need to take this back out again. All right, she is slapped in place. Both connectors are in. ECU is in. We still have fuses in the rear, so let's grab the keys, connect the battery, and see if the dash turns on. This is gonna be exciting to see what the dash has. Now, the previous owner told me that there's around 4,000 miles on the bike, so that's pretty low. Here's the battery. Again, this thing literally had a full charge right out of the box. And I believe this is a lithium ion battery for these Aprilia RSV4s. Here's our new ground cable that we replaced that goes all the way to the very front of the engine down there. Here's the positive side. Now I'm gonna need two hands for this so I make sure I don't blow anything up. So we'll catch you guys once the battery's connected and we got the keys and we're turning on the dash. Battery is connected, ECU is in place, and you can tell the dash is actually flashing. I think that's the security light up in the corner. All right, here we go. Keys in the ignition, what's gonna happen? Oh yeah. No way. Check that out. The dash is on. We got the temperature right now. Alarm service. The gas is flashing because we don't have any of the tank plugged in. This dash has so many buttons on it. Max speed 156. These are all the controls. What in the... Odometer, there we go. 4,244 miles. Wow, that's actually pretty low. I'm excited for that. Oh, it gives a max speed. So his max speed... His max speed the last time he was riding, wait a second, so you can set your max speed. So his max speed the last time he was riding was 156, average speed was 34. That's hilarious, because then you can see here, this is like the next trip, max speed is 0, average speed is 0, so like nothing's set on this trip, but on the last trip, wow, so he was going 156. That's insane. That's booking it. What does this button do on the dash? Street, sport, and user. That's cool. This button, I assume, is for the lights. Let's see. Oh, dang. It actually turns on the lights in front. Let me show you guys. That is sick. Man, those are such cool lights. And I'm glad they work and they're not damaged. I'm clicking these buttons down here on the dash and it's not doing anything. I'm so glad the dash works. We're definitely not going to start it. Aprilia, be a racer. Once again, big shout out to the owner for sending me the original keys. This is huge, guys. So the dash turns on, the ECU is good, the connections to the ECU are good. That means I did my wiring, I think, correctly, hopefully. Now we got more wires to play with in the rear on a rainy day. I gotta take this tank out, get to the connectors back there, hook it up so I can start sending fuel to the bike. So I can finalize this case cover, put the sealant around it, There's also a hose that connects to the airbox that goes through the frame down here and actually connects into here, I believe. This piece right here, I took this off a while ago. We went to go pick up some oil from the local auto parts store, just some cheap stuff for now. This Racing 4T oil 10W40. We've got liquid moly in the mail. This is just to get us by for now. That's exciting that the dash is working properly for me. My wiring job is holding up so far, but we're gonna end the night on putting that new rear tire and rim on the Aprilia. Man, I am dying to start this thing, but that's going to be in the next one. So, we'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.